Hey guys, and welcome to Ghosthead 101. The first video that I'm going to have in a series of kind of instructionals, and that's not a word, instructables, how-tos, do-it-yourselves, and kind of like a little bit of a guiding hand on the ins and outs of getting into the cosplay, the uniforming, and tips and tricks on how to make you into the Ghostbuster you want to be at the most cost efficient or not cost efficient, depending on the bank you got to deal with. So today we are going over what I consider to be probably the first thing you're going to tackle, which is a flight suit. So welcome to the dungeon. I got my little buddy Slimer with me today, and I brought out the flight suits, not really flight suits, but flight suits and one flight suit that I wear on occasion. So this is my original, okay? When it came to the flight suits that the actual Ghostbusters wore, I don't actually have any technically screen accurate ones. The original ones were made by a company called Gibson and Barnes, and they come in Nomex, and they also come in another material, but they're very expensive, usually custom made. They're military, and they used to be actually made by a company called Flight Suits Limited. They make the dark gray and they make khaki, so the dark gray ones that they wore in Ghostbusters 2, you know, they have those available. But finding reproductions of those are really hard. I know that a few years ago, maybe like 10 years ago or so, Peter Venkman's character, Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman, his original on the set Gibson and Barnes Flight Suit Limited, whatever you want to call it, suit, sold for a ridiculous amount of money. If you're just getting into this, if you've just joined a franchise, if you're just getting into cosplay, whatever, don't go for that one. It's extremely expensive. This lifestyle is extremely expensive. This hobby, whatever you want to call it, can be extremely expensive. I'm probably going to say that a lot. So, the first one I got at Walmart, and this is what you call a boiler suit. Now, I, like a lot of kids in the 80s, grew up with the Ghostbusters cartoon. I was like 6 years old when it came out, so I loved it. Now, I couldn't get one in the color I wanted, of course, because my favorite Ghostbuster was Winston, still is, and, you know, he probably wore the color that was the least likely for me to find, you know. Peter had the light khaki, and then Ray had the dark khaki, and, you know, the other two colors probably not going to be able to find very easily. Winston had the, like, kind of powder blue with the red trim. So I thought, let me get the Venkman color, because Venkman wore this, you know, almost muddy brown clay color. And I had thought, well, what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll see if I can somehow color this and get something for the sleeves, because there are sleeves on the inside that come out. Now, this didn't cost me that much. This was actually a pretty decent price. I think I spent like 60 bucks on it, and it's super warm. The only reason that I didn't stick with this one is because what ended up happening after I joined my first franchise, because I did this solo for a long time. I was kind of just like a cosplayer, but after I joined my first franchise with the New York City Ghostbusters, I ended up doing a lot of events for kids, and I was at conventions and stuff like that, so I was sweating a lot. This is a super hot suit, like ridiculously warm, and we were inside a lot. I was running around a lot, proton pack on my back, stuff like that, and you know, the belt has all these gizmos on it. I realized I gotta get myself a lightweight suit, because this thing is thick. Like, you know, this is the type of thing that if you want to go sledding, this is what to go for. Anyway, moving on. Then there is the Nomex flight suit that the U.S. Air Force pilot guys use. It's probably the most accurate and available off-the-rack version that you can get. They're made from a synthetic fire-resistant material, which is the Nomex, and they range from about $20 to $40 that you can get in a surplus store if you can find it used. If you find a brand new one off the rack, brand new, they're about $200. But this is the uniform that Bill Murray wore at the Scream Awards. If you remember, you know, not everything he was wearing was totally screen accurate, like the elbow pads or, you know, the mesh belt, but that was the one that they gave him. I think they also come in black and they come in an olive drab. I don't own that suit. I'll probably never own that suit. Now that I've learned some other tips and tricks on how to get around spending a lot of money, but I'll pass that on to you guys just as I can. Now, for the suits that I do own that are, you know, pretty screen accurate, this is a True-Spec. This was the first suit that I bought that was pretty, you know, screen accurate. True-Spec is made of polyester and cotton. It's civilian produced. You can find it in surplus stores. You can find it online. Any place that I know that like you can find one that's pretty good, I'm going to put a link in the description. The website, if you don't know about it already by now, gbfans.com, has a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to put those links in the description below. This one is a True-Spec, like I said. I believe this is an extra large because I'm 6'4", so you know I need the length on mine. I used to also be a lot, like, you know, beefier, so I definitely needed it now. I probably could go down to just a large now, but you know, maybe I'll get back in the gym and I'll start working out again. Who knows? You know, on the inside of these, they give you all of the instructions on how to clean them, and that is actually really important because a lot of times, you know, after wearing these things for so long, they're going to get really dirty. So, you know, it might give you that blue collar look that the Ghostbusters did have, but after a while, you do have to wash them. So if you're like me and you dress it up with, you know, keychains and fobs and like pins, I got my little Spangler Harold Ramis memorial pin on there and stuff. Make sure you take it all off. You can leave, obviously, the logo patches on the shoulders and stuff like that. Those are good to throw into the wash. But when it comes to washing your suit, make sure you follow the directions to a T. The washing directions are different for each of these. The True-Specs are different than the Nomex, are different from the Cockpit USAs, are different from the Gibson and Barnes. I wouldn't even wash a Gibson and Barnes one. I wouldn't even wear it if you had one. But I'm just saying, make sure you follow the directions. And then finally, there was a company called Rothco. These are polyester and cotton suits made, and they're kind of like a lesser quality. But the good thing about them is that they represent the uniform, and the color and the details are way different in person. So if you do see one online and you know that there's a place that has them locally, maybe you want to go and check them out because for some reason they look different in person. I've noticed that. They're about the same as True-Spec in cost, just not the greatest of quality. Online merchants usually neglect to mention the manufacturer, so just be sure to know what you're buying when it comes to these. It's an Air Force style. It's not actually an Air Force suit. Remember, Rothco is not in any way in touch with the Air Force. They're just a company. The zippers on those are merely plastic. Everything's kind of like thinner. They're missing the arm flap, and they kind of like have an yellowish tint on them. This was the first flight suit that I looked at after this one to possibly buy, and then when I saw it in person, I was just kind of like, for the same price, I could get a True-Spec, and it looks way more durable, and it looks way better, so I'm just going to go with that one. Honestly, I would not buy a Rothco one unless there's absolutely no way that you could get a True-Spec. You know, I think I bought the True-Spec for like $50 after shipping, and it has held up great in like 4 years that I've had it. There's one more. The Fox Outdoor Air Force one is an improvement over the Rothco. It pretty much is a khaki suit, has less yellow, and the chest pockets don't sit as low. They have made it as Nomex or as True-Spec. They both have the entry pockets on the lap, and they can be found at surplus stores. The things that the Fox has that the Rothco doesn't have would pretty much just be very small things, but like the zippers, for example, on those aren't plastic, so that's an improvement. Like I said, they got rid of most of the yellow. They're made of a better material. It's just going to last longer. So when it comes to getting your first flight suit, my number one would be getting a True-Spec. If you can't get one, I would say get a Fox Outdoor zippered coverall. Those are probably the best. Again, you don't have to remember all this. I'm just going to leave it all links in the description. Now, at the very least, well, the very least is you don't have to get a flight suit. Okay, remember this is an expensive hobby, but this is probably the first thing you're gonna get. So when you get something, there's a company called Proper. Okay, it's kind of not officially military, but they make military-styled products. And one of the things that they make is this jacket here. Now, if you'll notice, it has all of the trimmings of basically the upper half of a flight suit. It has, the side zippered arm pockets. It has the front zippered pockets. These are actually magnetic, which is really cool. So, like, everything you toss in your front pocket here just kind of clips to the front. It has the little Velcro here, so you can put your name on it. As you can see, I put my name on it. I only have one name patch, so I just kind of move it from my flight suit to this jacket. And sometimes I just wear this jacket out. It's a really warm jacket. It has pretty good. Oh, I gotta zip it down. Pretty good layering on the inside. Has a nice mesh and then cotton overlay. I put my little Ghostbusters Velcro patch logo on there. So this is really good. Again, the name of the brand is called Proper. That's with two P's, P-R-O-P-P-E-R. And that's how this was actually sent to me from a Ghostbuster who I met in Boston. And I think the year after that, when we went back to the Boston parade for St. Patrick's Day, I think I traded him this for some stuff, or I might have, Venmo'd him or something. But anyway, point is, that was really nice of him. I really like the jacket. I wear it all the time, so it's a great jacket. But that's pretty much most of your options. Your other options, come down to if you really liked, the real Ghostbusters, you could probably find them online. I've seen them on eBay. People have made those for all the Ghostbusters, including Janine and Louis Tully, even. Like, they have their own styled ones. Those are probably going to run you a little bit more. I've seen them in excess of $100. I think last time I looked for one for Winston, it was about $165. So they look really good, but you're going to have to, shell out some change for it. Plus, it's kind of, you're going to be all in at that point, you're going to be wearing that suit, unless you decide to build an entire closet around all of these suits. That's what it is. I mean, these just 3 suits that I have, and this one's not really even a suit, it has a multi-purpose, I've been doing over the course of 10 years, so I'm always apprehensive about just adding another flight suit, because it's not something I put on every day. Maybe if I was a coal miner, I could get another purpose out of it, but I'm not, so keep that in mind too. The other options, if you're a fan of the 2016 movie, Answer the Call, those aren't really readily available. You can take any of these and you can sort of customize them with the stripes. I've seen plenty of Ghostbusters do that. I've also seen those made custom and be able to be purchased online. They're not on GB Fans. Not a lot of Answer the Call stuff is. I'll talk more about Answer the Call props and prop making and stuff like that in the future. But when it comes to the GB16 stuff, it's still kind of in its infant stages. And you usually will have to reach out to somebody who's actually really good at making props or is really interested in specifically GB16 stuff. Anyway, that's pretty much it for flight suits. What they wore in Extreme Ghostbusters, what they're going to wear in the new movie, I don't know, but we'll find out. So, yeah, that's about it. So, thanks for checking us out. Remember, I'll put the links in the description so you guys can make smart purchases, and like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Hit that bell to hear future notifications. I got my next video in the works already, so stop back and check it out. Have a good day, guys. Thanks. Bye.